Can you all try and get onto seats? And if you can't, can you put your name down here? It's what I get left with each week is a whole bunch of students that have marked themselves present, and then a whole bunch of students that don't quite know whether they were here or not. I can understand that if you're on drugs or alcohol or something, that's fine. Normally you should be able to tell if you were in here. And so I get like 10 to 15 in this lecture that haven't bothered. And so I'm going, were they here? Were they not here? I'm starting to recognise you guys all now, bit by bit, but it's still quite hard as I look out into the haze, because I'm on drugs, because I've got a cold at the moment, that's all. Because I can't, quite tell whether you're in or not. Also, people come and go. Sort of, I look up and, there's 3 taken off out the back door as well. So if you can't do it on seats, put it there, and I'll put you on. I can't take emails from international students weeks later saying, hey, I couldn't get onto seats. Okay, so that's your backup. Otherwise, you've got a problem. Secondly, we're getting to an interesting stage. We've got a second hand-in coming up, not this weekend, but the following. The degrees are taking off, so I won't be uploading many videos onto these sites from the diplomas for a while. And they're going in another direction. They're doing a 1,500 word design report. And they don't get their revision class for this until next week, 20 minutes before the test. Okay. You guys are in quite a fortunate position in that you're getting your revision now. I used to do it on the day of, on the Wednesday before, and I've got a lot of complaints because one class apparently had an advantage over the other, and so I've reverted back to the week before. The problem with that is students' minds tend to empty out a lot of stuff over the period of a week. Okay, whereas if you do it kind of on the eve of the test, it's right in the brain. Okay, so you're going to have to try and keep this in the brain for a week or so. The other thing I wanted to point out by bringing this up is this is the engineer's timetable. Nothing much changes. Same labs, same times, same Wednesday lecture. When it says no lecture, guess what? That means no lecture, okay? So if you're sitting here like this expecting half a mark for turning up when no one else is, looking at these 3 guys, they expect half a mark all the time, then go too bad. Then don't, okay? So that for the engineers, life continues as normal. For the We'll bring it back up again because somewhere there was the surveying one. So for the surveyors, you don't have to attend this lecture anymore. You can come along if you want. I don't care. It's for information only. We're not testing you on any structural elements on the course. But basically, I'll say it one more time for the cameras. You do not have to attend this class, okay? Done. You do have to attend a completely different tutorial class or lab class. It should be on your cell phones, it should be on your timetable, it should also be on here as well. If I've got that wrong, please let me know. It's on the first level, and it's facing south. Room 2009. So you will be back together as a group again, and we will work in that time period for a couple of hours on a project specifically. Okay. This is the first time this has happened in the whole time that we've taken it. We used to just have engineering, civil and structural drawing as a cross-creditable subject, which was the same for both. We decided last semester to split it off. Okay. Also, you need to note that although your assignment 1 and 2 are worth the same as the engineers, your test is slightly differently weighted. and your 2 projects coming up are slightly differently weighted. Okay. All right. So that having said, it's quite critical today's revision class for next week, and you'll have an extra 2 hours. Everyone will have an extra 2 hours for the test because they won't have to attend a lecture in here next week. So, you know, you can play PlayStation, you can do what you like, but that's 2 hours you can study for your test as well. The way this week is basically your last lab towards working for assignment 2. The following week, there is no time for that lab. By the time I blah, blah, blah before the test, by the time we end up with a few students crashing and things are all sorted out, there is no time left in there. So I will ask you to leave after your test. When I leave, you can come back in, of course, and use that room if you want to, but that's it in terms of hands-on help for the test. So just bear that in mind this week when you come to your lab class. Have all your last-minute questions for me. Okay, so the focus then is reverting now towards the test, particularly as it's worth 30% for the surveyors and 20% for the engineers. There are 20 questions, and I've broken that down even further in that with the calculation questions, you will all get one of the 4, at least one, possibly 2 or 3 of each of the 4 I'm about to show you. And before we do that, I'll give you a quick insight into it because these don't have answers here. I've also given you 3 multi-choice questions that are in the test as well. How about that? And I'll give you the answers to them. But the odds of that coming up for you are pretty remote. There are over 120 multi-choice questions in there. I did get one student citing to me last semester that they got 2 of these amongst their 10. Sadly, they got one of them wrong after I'd given the person the actual answers to this. So you'll get 10 multi-choice. This is a good example of the type of level that I go to, and we'll talk about that as well. So you will get, now I don't want someone coming over this video, pausing over it 15 times at home and going, but you said I was going to get 2 or 3 of these and I got 4. And you said I was going to get 1 or 2 of these and I got 3. What I'm saying is there will be approximately 10 questions from these 4 that we're revising which are mathematical. I've jiggled it around so that Moodle kind of chooses at least 1, possibly 2 or 3 or 4 of each category. Okay, so you kind of need to know these back to front. There are also approximately 10 multi-choice. Now I refuse to call them mathematical and English because some of the multi-choice require mathematical calculations. For example, there's one there about a pipe, and I give you the Soviet level and the diameter of the pipe, and at the other end I give you the invert level. So obviously you need to take the difference off that and calculate. So that is a mathematical question, but it's a multi-choice one. There are 4 different answers. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts in that respect. Why have I chosen these 4 particular questions? This question here is pretty much directed to the students that go, hey bro, with respect to the platform. Now by now some of the smarter students are working out what the offsets are. Reasonably easy with the diploma because you're already on a contour, 45.4 I think it is. Degrees on 45.45. They have a tricky little sum to work out how much to go up and down for their first offset. Some of them still can't figure it out. It's been a week and a half. Some of them got it straight away. And of course they're slowly passing that information on to the ones that haven't got a clue what's going on. So to me, this is testing whether you are the hey bro, or you are the bro, or bro-es, that figured it out. Okay, if you figured it out, this is really simple. If you didn't figure it out, you've got a bit of homework to do, because there's going to be 1 or 2, maybe 3 questions similar to this. And I jiggle it up, change it around. I change around the figures here. I change around the A, an A or a B. Sometimes I give you A and B, but don't give you one of the ratios. Okay? And I'll give you a clever way of doing this, but I'm not saying they're all going to be exactly like this. The other thing that I do, which really messes with students' brains, see that figure number? It's quite big, isn't it? In fact, if I was marking this, I'd probably take half a mark off for wrong text type, okay? But I'm not, so I get away with it. The good thing is that figure 101 stands out, right? Well, what I've done is kept the figure numbers quite similar and changed the question. So it'll say figure 101. So you're doing your test, and out the corner of your eye you see that person has got on their screen figure 101, that person has got figure 101, and you're looking, oh, they put C as an answer, oh, they did too, C. Okay, move on to the next one. Well, figure 101 for them at a ratio of 3.86 and 1.23, and a different level and a different question, and guess what? Moodle also changes around the ABCD. That Moodle does that for me. So I can make every answer A, but for you guys it could be any of the ABCD. So it's absolutely pointless looking. That's why I allow you to sit beside each other. It's almost impossible to end up with the same question at the same time on the same screen as the person beside you. So that is the reason behind that. I will go over that particular question, but guess what? This isn't just a Roger talking and you guys watching and slowly falling asleep. This is an active revision class. So in a minute I'm going to give you these, and I'm going to give you some time to have a go at it. I think what I would do is have a go of it just with my calculator and a bit of paper, but you can look back in your notes or whatever if you want to as well. We're not going to do that one just yet. The next question that I've got is one on the cross sections. Now, just as a heads up for the test, when these things first pop up, sometimes they're quite small, or quite enlarged, sorry, so you might just get something like that. You don't just stand there and take the bar along the bottom and go to see what everything looks like, and then the sidebar. Okay, you just use the control key and roll back until you get everything, way too much then, into your view. Okay, it's no different than anything on the internet. If you want to zoom in and out, control, middle roller, right? It's getting easier and easier now, because back in the day when I first did this test, students didn't know how to do that on the internet. Now, some 10 years later or 8 years later, most of you know how to do the control and roller in and out. So this is a cross section. Guess what? You did a cross section for me. You actually did a long section, but in this particular case, it is basically a long section. It doesn't have a distortion, but you can't measure it. There's no way of measuring it. You don't have AutoCAD, so you can no longer do that distance up. So as part of your learning outcomes, you were supposed to have checked your drawing, your long section, by doing a calculation for the grade. So I'm going to make you do that, and I'm going to go over a couple of these with you. So yeah, once again, if you're a hey bro or a hey bro-es or whatever, and you knew how to do that quite easily, that's cool. If you just simply copied my video and did a dimension, you're going to have to learn this before the test. Okay? So I'll go over the answer to possibly a couple of those. Also, because Moodle expects an exact answer, which goes against the grain of our wonderful maths teachers here at Unitec, who love to give you little half marks for trying, or doing it almost right, or just about rounding off perfectly. Moodle doesn't. So you either get 1 mark for getting it perfect, or you get that for getting it wrong. Okay? So I'm going to show you where to work it out from, so you don't end up in a situation where you got it right, but you were 0.01 out with your answer. Also, you are allowed to hand in your workings with your student ID. If you end up on 49 for the course, it's a perfect way of me going back and possibly squeezing that extra half mark out because you were close. All right? I'm not, I repeat, not going to be doing that for every single student, else I might as well make it a manual test, because this is automatically marked. While we're on that subject, you will not get your answers to this test. It has been QA multiple times. You will just get a number for the amount you got right. Okay? So if I did that, it wouldn't take students very long to get all the answers to all my questions, and not only would I have to do all the 120 questions again, but it would be very easy for repeat students to get 20 out of 20 in the test next semester. The old spot height. Very relevant to surveyors, this one. Working out where contours are with spot heights. Most of you use nodes, I know that, because I've marked all the degrees. I'm into marking, I've started with the surveyors, about halfway through them. All I'm seeing is node for most students, nearly all. So here's your chance to prove to me you can do both methods, which is the calculation method. So for example, if I asked you what is B, how many of you would just keep staring at the screen for the next half an hour? And how many could do it straight away? Yes. Once again, hey bro, can you help me? I will go over that. So just to be clear in the test, this one here is asking for blah 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 y, okay? What I tend to do is change it up a bit, so I might have figure 801 or something, and I might give you y and z, but I might not give you the 20.3. Sorry, I might give you y and z, and the 20.3 I might not give you A, or I might not give you C. So I might change it around a little bit on what I'm actually asking for. So you need to know that inside out. Lastly, my favourite, the prismoidal calculation sheet. This is basically how it will be presented in the test, and Moodle will choose you a letter. I've also got a couple of letters here as well. So if you're unfortunate enough to get that, that is going to require a lot of calculations. And so I've divided this into easy and hard. And to me, these ones are the easy ones. These ones over here are the hard ones. So Moodle is going to pluck you out an easy one, which is so easy you're probably going to go, wow, that was quick. Within 10 seconds you'll have the answer. 1 mark in the bank, and then it's going to go and pluck you a hard one, and you're going to go, oh, I've actually got some calculations and work to do. The first thing you need to do is go back and look at the spreadsheet to see what each of the columns are. I will not be giving you a correction factor, but I will be giving you everything else that you can see there. If you think you can just go, oh, that's easy, all I have to do is look at some of the other columns and then that'll give me the answer to how I work it out. Those other numbers all around them are fictitious unless they're needed for calculation. Okay? So you're going to have to know your columns for that. And lastly, as I said, I've given 3 questions here which I'll go over before we finish. So that's how things are going to pan out today. We should be finished relatively early, which will also give you some more time for revision. If you go over my lectures on the videos, which the student at the front here has very kindly uploaded to YouTube, you will probably see every now and then I have paused and said there is a question on this piece in the test. That's the first thing that I would do, is look over that and understand that section of the notes. And then I guess it's pretty much just rolling through the notes as best you can, reading over it. And also, I don't think there's anything from the subdivisions in the test. Off the top of my head, I don't think there's anything. So you can just treat that as information only at this stage. Now, I know international students, particularly those whose English is second language, do struggle with this, but at least there is an opportunity in something you don't understand to have an educated guess. When I was at university, an educated guess lost you 0.25 of a mark. In other words, you had a choice of having a guess, and if you didn't get it right, you got negative 0.25. So if you didn't know something, you were encouraged not to have a go at it, which was an interesting concept. There was quite a few of my classmates got into the negative at the end of the test. At least you'll have the opportunity to guess at it, I guess. Right. Now, we won't just be having fills, we'll also be having cuts. And I would like the opportunity to, so a cut would obviously be something like this, whereas the fill is something like that. You've learned that already from drawing up the long section. The fill looks something like that, doesn't it? And you all put a nice hatch under that, didn't you? You didn't put rock, you didn't put earth, you didn't put dots. You all put a nice hatch under there that was different, because that's what I said in the lecture to do. But that's not what we're being judged on at the moment. What we're being judged on is our ability to work out this. So the way how I approach mathematics, and it's an interesting concept, take it or leave it. If this was a slope of 2 along and 1 down, and that was 100, all right, and that was 99, what would that distance be, and what would that distance be? So I've really simplified it. Can someone give me an answer to that? So that distance there would be 2, and that distance there would be 1, right? How'd you do that?
You tell us.
100 minus 99.
How did you do that in your brain?
100 minus 99, you got the elevation.
Okay, let's change that around. What if it was 2.3 by 1.5, and that was 99.8, and that was 100.23? Now what are the numbers?
Good calculator.
Oh, it's not that easy now. Not quite sure what I did in my brain to figure it out before. So that's why I like to simplify things first, because I think everyone was able to do the first bit. The second bit suddenly gone. Okay? Let's see what you actually did in your brain, and let's see how we can work through it. In fact, let's look at it more closely to what the number is up there. So in that particular case, we have 2 going up, 1 down here. So it's a different sort of number completely. But I'm still going to make that 98, and I'm going to make that 100. And we get an answer here of 2 and an answer here of 1. So how did we work through that? Okay, so 100 minus 98 equals 2. 2 times 2 over 1, 2 times 1 over 2 equals 1, which is that 1 there. And for this one here, I'm overcomplicating myself. How do we work out the 2?
Oh, that's changing y, divide by changing x.
Big one?
100 minus 98 equals the changing y direction.
100 minus 98 equals 2. Yeah. Carry on.
And then changing x, we don't have it, but we have a slope there, which is 2 to 1.
So this being x here, right? That's the one you're after.
Yeah,
Do I-
so the slope is 2 to 1, right? 2 in vertical, 1 in horizontal.
Yeah.
So, again, slope equals delta y over delta x, which is 2 to 1. And we have another 2, it stands 2x. I don't know how to explain, I need to write it down.
Okay. B we don't actually know. 98 we do know, and we do know those 2 there. So x is actually the value that we're after, as opposed to these numbers here. We are given a number for B, which is 2.9, which is
That's
A.
number A.
A, sorry,
Yeah.
at 2.9, which is the horizontal. So let's say that horizontal was 1, okay, and we're asked to find out what x is. So that would be
100.
98,
100.
and we obviously the answer will be 100, but how do we get 100?
2 over 1
So
equals
it is-
2x.
It is 9, sorry, what did you say?
Move on.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
X minus 98.
I normally, the way I do, I normally work with the slope. I said slope equals changing in y direction over changing x direction.
Correct?
So, change in y direction, we don't have x1, right? I said x minus the level down, it gives me change in y direction. Okay?
So 1 times 2 over 1 equals 2. So 98 plus 2 equals 100.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if we take a red pen and we take over here and we copy this, and this time round we have a question mark on that level. This time round, this level here becomes 16.3. Right? And we have been told that that horizontal distance, which, by the way, is the offset you're doing on your platform, is 2.9. And we're told that this ratio is 2.25 and 1.35. Then what it is 2.9 times, and obviously this is going to be the smaller one, so it's 1.35 divided by 2.25. Sorry, we're calculating this one. So it's 2.25 divided by 1.35 equals, does someone have a calculator for me?
Only have the front answer. 21.1.
4.83. We'll call it 4.83, that's fine. And so 16.3 plus 4.83
21.1.
equals
21.133.
we run 21.13. Well, at that point we round it back off to 21.1 because all the other numbers are rounded off to 21. So 21.1. So, sorry about that, I was mucking around a little bit with you. On the right hand side here is a very easy 2 to 1, 98. We all know that's 100. Went straight through our brain on how to do that very easily with a ratio of 2 to 1. What we didn't know was how we worked it out in our brain. This is how we worked it out in our brain. We took the 1 up there. We took the 2 from here. We took the 1 from there. And we ended up with that number. And we added it to 98 to make 100. So if all else fails, if you go back to basics like 1 to 2 and 100 as the level and maybe a very easy distance like 1, you can work backwards with your maths and end up doing quite a complicated one very easily. And that you should be able to replace any of these numbers and still come up with solving for x like you were saying. And the reason why I was asking you is because you were on the right track, but you were just finding it a little bit difficult how to explain. It's all right. It's cool. I'm sure you'll nail it in the test. Now, the one thing to be careful of in the test, give the answer to 1 decimal place. Moodle is brutal, just like my marking, which you're going to find out about next week. Okay, you give it to 2 decimal places, bang, you're wrong. Okay? And let's face it, it's probably a little bit harsh, but at the same, consequences, isn't it, of your actions. So you're often asked for measurements in volumes and measurements in percentages and levels, and you're told the degree of accuracy you require. And for example, motorway design gets down to 5 millimetres at times because you're doing 130 kilometres an hour around corners. You've got to get that road surface as close to possible when you design it. An old dirt country road going up to a windmill or well, it is a windmill, I guess, a wind farm, that you're only going to go up once a year with a tractor or something to look at, four-wheel drive vehicle, that can be accurate to 100 mils. So a survey in that area would only need to be accurate to 100 millimetres. So accuracy is important. If you're welding something for a building and you need 2 bits of steel to fit nicely together so the bolt will fit through, you might have to be accurate to 1 millimetre. It's no use giving it to 10 millimetres because the bolt won't fit. Okay? So accuracy is important. So I have decided that with this test, if I say give it to 1 decimal place, give it to 1 decimal place. If I say calculate the levels on the long section from the left-hand side, do that. Don't do it from halfway or 1 beside it. And you should get an answer that Moodle's quite happy with. Okay? I get a lot of students get quite upset. They try to get the answers out of me. They say to me, where did I go wrong in the test? I got 9 wrong. This is not my normal mark. Please remark it. And a simple going back and having a look, and they've done their decimal places completely wrong to what they were asked for. So please take big note of that in the test. I will remind you before we kick off with the test about that. That's your last reminder for that. And just like I said, to calculate this, I'd like you to do it from the left-hand side, so always from the zero. Now, this is a good example of how distances don't always start at north. And you'll find in my test, I've also done something similar. Remember when I was talking about State Highway 1? You never start with a chainage, survey talk here, a distance of 0, unless you're way, way, way down in Bluff, and you're right at the very beginning of State Highway 1, you'll never get a 0. You'll always get a strange number like 986.785 or something like that. It's the same with cross-section. And also with stormwater, when you do long sections and cross-sections with stormwater, the start of the stormwater line may not be where you're doing the design. That might be 2 or 3 manholes down. So you might be starting at 423 and so on. Okay. So here is an A, a B, a G, and a D, and an E, and an E. The question itself, I'll just roll back a little bit. This time, I'm not going to give you the answer before you start doing it. This time, I want you to calculate that. What's the question say? Oh, it doesn't say anything. Okay, well let's have a go at calculating A and D. An easy one and a hard one. A and D. It's a little bit tricky, but just remember this is the formation level coming down here. Know if I can. Oh yeah, you're right. You see that? Yep. So the long straight bit is the road or the grade, and the existing ground sort of is all over the place, and it meets at this one up here. Hello? To calculate A, you're going to need to calculate B first. Or the other way around, to calculate B, you're going to have to calculate A. So you're grading a pipe, or you're grading a road, which is exactly the same. And if you go, if you wanted to go back to your notes, you'll be looking at week 3, I think it is.
Normally we need to know at least the ground level or something first.
For A, no, it's a formation level. So you see this line coming down there? That's your formation. It's a constant grade of negative 1.395, heading in that direction down there like that. Which is interesting because your grade on your pipe in the assignment was also a negative 1.395 as well, which you all managed to put, of course. Sorry?
Whatever we get, we need to divide by 2.
grade 其实也是这个孩子成为第四期给大家
Okay, I have actually got I'm going to do this without going too far down the answers. This I'll make this file available on Moodle, which will complete your civil notes. Surveyors, don't throw this away because we're going to be using the notes on roading when we do the assignment in your lab classes. Okay, so I'll leave them. I'll ask you all to download those before we start because I close off the civil section after that. So I'll talk to you in the lab classes. Okay? So answers here. This is the revision with answers. I think. No.
Script
Oh, nice one. I don't actually have the one. Okay. I'll just take that off the screen at the moment. I'll get the answers for you. Oh, I know where they are. That's right. I know where they are.
是下周吧？不是第7周，是吧？下周是第7周，7周考。
Okay, so rolling down, the answers are at the bottom of this. So 21.1 was the answer that we got for the fill over there. Okay, so what you're going to need is this here, as this here is going to go up online. That's behind me for students that possibly weren't in class today, or as a reminder or a check. What I do on the whiteboard, I suggest you take a photograph of, because it's the more longer explanation of how to do it. For some students, different things are easy. That's fine. Don't bother with the whiteboard if you know how to do it. That's cool. But at least you've got an answer there to check it off if you're going to do some work on it in the weekend. So this is a shortened version. This is the longer version. Okay. Now this time you ask for A and D and give the answer in 2 decimal places. So the long and short of this is that you need to grade between that point there and that point there to find the actual formation level. So to do this, we have a grade of negative 1.395. So if I may, I'm going to put this top part in. We basically have got a level here, which is formation level of 95.4. Is that 40? I think it's 40.
Yes.
And we're asked to find that level there, I think. Yes, we are. And we know that this has got a negative grade of 1.395%. Notice the 3 decimal places. It's a shame that you guys are noticing it now and not in your handout. Some have, some haven't. So we also know that distance, don't we? I hope we do.
20.
60, 80, so the distance being 20. So the mathematics behind it is 20 times 0.01395, which is equal to, I'll roll that down,
0.279.
0.279. And so therefore, 95.40 minus 0.279 equals 95.121. We're asked for 2 decimal places, so the answer we put into Moodle will be 95.12. Now, I don't want any units in Moodle. That's another mistake that people make. They put a little m for metres or a little mm for millimetres. No units. Okay? This course is a civil course, so everything should be in metres anyway. I'm talking about this part, the civil part. When we go on to do structures, we do something that absolutely plays with the surveyor's brains. We work in millimetres, right? So you structural engineers will have a little secret that you're not allowed to tell surveyors. There are such a thing as millimetres, all right? And we will be doing all of our dimensions in millimetres for structure. Because you talk about beams, you talk about columns, you talk about concrete slabs, it's all in millimetres, okay? So in this case, you're asked for 2 decimal places, and that's that. The answer to D.
Is this one?
Oh, is it? Oh, that's 2. What was the question? I think the question said 2.
Two decimal.
I've got to go way back up the top, sorry. No, this is for, no, that was for the one below. This one doesn't actually have a decimal place on it, but I promise you that it will when it comes to the test. Yes, that's interesting. I've given it to 2 anyway. In terms of D, you don't actually, this is, to me, this is an easy one because it's the existing ground level. And the existing ground level, if you have a look up the top, is going to be equal to the grade, which will be that point there. Can you see that? There. Minus this number here for the cut. Remember you had to measure that little bit for the cut on the assignment? So it'll be that minus that. So it'll just simply be 94.49 minus 1.2. So we'll go down and see if the answer does that. B, formation level, existing level. Formation level is 90.
No, we're doing D.
Oh, solving D. Is that D?
That's B.
That's B. Okay.
D
Sorry.
should be plus.
Okay. Well, B isn't given in the answers. Sorry, D isn't given in the answers. D would be equal to that minus that. Okay.
Shouldn't that be
Which is 94.49 minus 1.2. Does anyone have that answer?
Shouldn't that be plus?
93.29. Yeah.
What?
But B, once you've got A, B is quite an easy one to get because if you look up here, there's a distance between these two. And if you've calculated A, which we've just done,
Just minus.
which is 95.12, and you've got your existing ground, 93.13, the difference between the two will be the fill of B. Which is 1.99. Now, all my Myrtle calculations are taken from that point there. Okay? So if you need to do any calculations to find distances, levels, etc., take them from that point there. Not there, or even here. Take them back there in the test, and you'll get the answer right. Keep the big number in your calculator until the very end, and then change it to whatever decimal point that I'm asking for. Okay?
Sorry?
That was the way I was taught at school. That's the way it should be. So if you've got your calculator here and your, back in the day I used a calculator once in Newmarket to look cool because I pretended it was a cell phone, but now I'm pretending my cell phone's a calculator, which is ironic. It didn't work. None of the girls were impressed as I was walking down the street. We're talking 1990s here. Okay. it's just the sort of thing an engineering student would do. So anyway, if I was using my calculator here, I would do my percentage times the distance over there, and I'd end up with a longer number in here, leave it there, and then I would go 94.540 minus the big long number equals, and then I'd write that down and round it off to 2 decimal places. Okay? So you keep the number going. That one there is, yeah.
If we get a question about long section, are we supposed to divide the answer by 2?
No, there's no distortion in the lot. Well, those numbers there should not have a distortion in them. That could be a distorted long section for all we know, but the numbers at the bottom,
Because we do.
yeah, it's the scale. If you got that normally, it should have a scale under it, and if you could see the distortion in the scale, then if you used the scale rule, you'd be taking that into account. But generally speaking, if we're doing things for accurate levels, these are the numbers that count. When you get your feedback from me on the assignment, you'll see I've marked the top bit, which is your ability to draw things and talk about things and label things and give me information up the top. And then the bottom stuff, which is precise numbers. And admittedly, students have or could easily ask other students what those numbers are and just copy them. But up the top, it's quite different. That is your own drawing. Okay, so I've split my marking into 2. All right? Yeah, you'll see that quite obviously. And the feedback is in 2 as well. And yes, not doing the grade to 3 decimal places with a 1 in whatever it was to 2 decimal places is part of the marking. All right? Lastly, or second lastly, oh, this is my favourite one. So, the question as it is there is figure below, figure 800 is, reflects 2 spot heights and 2 different contour lines travelling through the spot height. You're being asked to calculate y. So this is turning it around a little bit. I've actually given you the distance between them. And I've given you one of those numbers, which is A, 7. A little bit different to what you would be doing, but I've mucked around with these numbers quite a lot in my figures. So you could well get a very easy calculation similar to that, or you might get a fairly tricky one like this one here. And you're not allowed to use AutoCAD with nodes to calculate this. And you can't phone a friend either. Sorry, Dylan.
Have a fun ready.
Okay. Slumdog Millionaire, is it? Okay. So here's how I calculate this. You have to look upon this as the vertical side of things, not the horizontal side of things, which is kind of what we are trying to teach you in engineering, and unfortunately they place this subject in your second semester. I would like to have seen it in the third or fourth semester when you're starting to get the hang of how engineering and surveying works and how you've got vertical and horizontal going on at the same time. But in order to do this, you've got to realise that in reality, it's a slope. It's a slope that ends at the level at Z, which equals 53.4. We'll call that 40 at the moment. We don't know this level here, but we do know that at A, which is right here, with a horizontal distance of 7, we have got another level of 54.0. We know that there's another level here of 55.0, but we're not sure of that distance. That's unknown. But we do know this distance here. In fact, we've been told it's 20.3. Well, maths teacher at school would be horrified at anyone here that can't do this. We're talking about high school here at a very low level, because it's something that they used to call equal triangles. Remember that? I don't know when I got taught that. Fourth form maybe fifth form. So using a red pen, we have a triangle here, and from that we can deduce the larger triangle here. And this is my way of doing it. The answer's got a different way of doing it. Each to their own in how they do this. So it's we've got to work out the level of the difference here in levels, which is equal to 0.6, right? And we've got to solve for x. So it is x over 20.3 equals 0.6 over 7. Which equals 1.74. I'm only taking that as correct at the moment. We'll have a look in a minute. So we've got more people confirming that. That's cool. So therefore, when we go 53.40 and we add 1.74,
55.
we get 55.14. Oh, is it 1.4? 1.4, yeah. Now that equal triangle thing can be applied whether you're asking for that number, or whether you're given that one and you need to find the bigger one. It can be applied all the way along. Of course, it does assume a regular slope. I guess I can only say that that assumption is made in most of the 3D programs. And that is another reason why if you're surveying and you see something irregular, you need to pick it up. very, very critical. All right, and here's another way of doing it. It all makes sense. And in this case, the number was rounded off to one decimal place. I think it was asked for one.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was.
What was the answer? It was C?
55.14 down here.
C.
Or 55.1, I think it was one decimal place. So I better put that there in case somebody questions that, like you all do, like hawks. And that was the answer for, no, Y. It was for Y.
That's a Y, yes. C is 29 point something.
So Y, that was the calculation. You didn't have to do C. Be careful when you read the question when it comes to the test. You will only be asked to calculate one thing. Now, the test is 50 minutes, which is 2.5 minutes per question. 20 questions. The multi-choice are pretty quick. You're either going to know it or you're not going to know it. My suggestion is to work your way through those first. You can jump question. Do the multi-choice. Put your best guess, I suppose, first. And then start on the calculations. Some of the calculations are very easy. Some are quite difficult. They will take 5 minutes or so. And some will only take a minute to do. Then if you've got time at the end, go back and have a look at your multi-choice and see if you want to change some of your answers. Most of my good and bad students leave at the same time, which is somewhere around about the 30-minute mark. So it's quite interesting. You'll see people stand up and go, and you'll go, oh, didn't expect that person to go so quickly. That will be a bad student. And if you say, oh, there's that bright guy going out the door that gets everything right, it'll be a good student. The rest of the students like to play with the devil. The test shuts itself off. The last question you're working on, when it shuts itself down, quite possibly will not go into the system. So you've basically kicked yourself in the backside over the last one you're answering. You are asked to save each one. A grey will appear in the box if you've saved it. If you haven't, it will also kick you to touch for all the ones that aren't grey. So my suggestion, when you're working through, yes, save, yes, save, yes, save. At least they're saved. And when you go back to revise it, you've got something in there, especially the multi-choice. So if you want to play at the devil, that means you've got a clock on the left-hand side going tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. And it is possible for it to shut down within a second or so, just when you didn't expect it to. So yeah, those other students, which is probably going to make up about 60 or 70% of you, just don't take it to the last tick-tock, okay? If your computer legitimately crashes, it will still save whatever you've saved. And you will lose some time getting back into Moodle. That time that I allow, I will write your name down and I will write the time it took you to get back into Moodle. Moodle is still going tick-tock, tick-tock. You've just lost whatever time it took to get back in. So I will calculate that and I will give you some sort of compensation, but it won't be a lot. I'm not talking millions of marks here. But stuff happens. 2 years ago, the student stood up and tripped on the cord for a whole row in 112.1100. All turned all the computers off in one hit. So that was a bit of a nightmare for everybody. Okay, so make sure you save. B and D. Here we go. You can't use any of the numbers there, except for the legitimate ones that you're looking at. You can't use some of these as examples of why those are refused. This is the last one, by the way.
Tersi mister kure. The other one.
Going slow.
Ah,
Huh? Slow, but slow.
طبعا شيء. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. لين يزيد.
不算，B 就是它那个1.45加上0乘以2，如果说它是 B 下面的数，就是0.001加上1.45除以2。D 呢就是它的那个 average sum of an area multiplied
Okay,
interval，
the average sum of the end areas for B, same sort of thing as A, means that one there, 0 plus 1.45, divided by 2, which equals 0.73. D, the quantities are equal to 30 times 2.56. By the way, A would have been the average sum of those two divided by 2, and C would have been 30 times 2.42. And just for the record, the ratio goes right the way back to here, so it would be these two numbers here, so it's the one you're on plus the one before, and it will be the little one over the big one. Little one over the big one for G and H. And the quantities J is equal to 0.67 times the original quantity of 6. L would be equal to 0.67 times the fill. Same with those two. So it is a case, if you were trying to work out E, then you need to go over here to your interval of 50. So it would be 150. If you wanted to work out F, it would be 200 plus 50 equals 250. Now when you do your cross sections through your platform, I am fielding questions from students saying, does it have to be 2? Does it have to be 3? No, there is no actual number. Here's your platform, here's your cut and fill. I'm expecting one cross section through the middle because that's the one you all have to draw up nicely. And then on red I'm going to draw the ones that are just line drawings. I would expect on a line drawing 1, 2, maybe another one there, another one here, another one here. And then I'm also expecting at least one outside of the platform. So that will look quite different. The platform ones are easy. You just got the platform, you've got the ground line, you've got your grade up, your grade down. These ones, I suggest you do your butterfly wings first so you can do it along one of your offsets on the butterfly wing. Because if you do that, it'll look, these lines on the butterfly wing will just be like their own little platform. So it'll just come down like that. This one here will be like that. So the cut and the fill would be their own little platforms and it would look something like that. To do the quantities properly, you also need to start on 0 up here and 0 down here somewhere. So these distances are going to be determined by you, not by me. Try to make them fairly similar, within a metre or so of each other, if you can. And of course, if you wanted to do that extremely accurate, you would do lots of them, and then you would end up with a very, very accurate volume. But I'm saying 1, 2, 1, 2, that's 4, 5, 6. The middle one, these don't really require anything, they're just 0. So it's really only 7 plus the 2 on the end, which will be 0. These will not actually go through your butterfly wings at all. But you do need something to start on and something to end on, because the volumes taper down to nothing. Okay?
You asked for 8 at least, so...
I said around 8, maybe 9 at least. So 8 would be that one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and these two are 0, so you've only done 7 really.
Well, what about perpendicular cross section?
No, I want them that way, all of them, the same direction. You can't add a perpendicular one in, you need it all going in. That's like going down a road and then suddenly turning around and doing one that way. Just the way how this thing works is that it's doing a slice each time. If you think of a 3D model and slicing through it, and it's going to get little numbers, big numbers, little numbers all the way, and these distances all the way. And when you put it in that spreadsheet, you just need to put in the distance. That's the cumulative distance, right? These are the actual distances that you choose. They might be 1 metre, 2 metres, then 1.5, then 3 metres, then 2 metres, whatever. These are the cumulative distances. You will need to put both those in, and you'll need to put the areas that you come up with in. And then over here, it'll all work it all out for you, right? I want that bit there copy pasted into model space. I don't want to see it in a viewport. I don't want to see these in a viewport. I just want to see that one whatever that is, AA or BB. Because I wasn't specific, you can name them either way you like. I'm calling that one AA, but it's up to you if you want to call that BB.
Do you want to see the slices in the just the?
No, where these are, no, it's all right. I'll know by that where you put them. It's a fairly easy mark to get really if you go through and do it all. The hardest part is the compaction factor, working out with the way how you do that. What else? When you do work out your offsets from the platform and you're coming around with your offsets, please, this is not the offset that you're necessarily going to be doing. Please do not take a photocopy of that. Come back to me after results and say, oh, but you said it was like this. All right, this is just me explaining something. I shouldn't have to do that, but I do these days. And say you end up like getting intersection points like this, and then on this side you're getting an intersection point like this, and then you can't go any further on both sides, then you will join them up along in between these two lines here. Yeah. If you get something that comes like this, and on this side it's going round to say there, then there, then there, then you have no choice but to join it up, going right, staying between those two lines and coming around to that point there. In fact, it wouldn't be that point there, it would be coming around to that point there. So see how I stayed between the two offset lines and joined it up. There isn't an absolutely correct answer to that, but I mean, if you wanted to be super accurate, you could offset by half that amount and do some contours at point 1, but I don't expect you to do that, so just use a wee bit of drafting license and just draw the line. You can't do this. You can't cut across there like that. That is a big no-no. A lot of students do that, and they ruin their chances of getting a good mark. So the butterfly wing has to follow round and then back up to there. So there's 2 examples where you close the gap by going around the corner, or you close the gap just by doing that. A lot of you don't even know what I'm talking about at the moment, but it's something that you should probably take a photo of. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, if you go back to your learning outcomes from week 2, when we did the butterfly wing, yeah, and you had some contours underneath, and we did some design ones going on, and we matched them up. Yep.
So you get to the corner there and you sort of curved round. I found it sort of seems right to follow the corner to the sharp edge there.
No, you can't come back.
No. I mean, when you get to your curve there, you curve it.
Oh, yeah,
You would sort of have a sharp corner.
There's no, so you went like that.
So it made sense to follow how all those corners come out.
You went like that.
Yeah, more like that, yeah.
That's all right.
So you can sort of draw a
As long
line
as you
straight.
don't go outside of.
I sort of drew a line from the corner of the building to that end of offset final corner. So I drew a line all the way.
Show me tonight. I'm not going to tell you whether your offset's right, but I am going to tell. I can tell you if you've closed it. What you've drawn, I can tell you if you've closed it. Please, if you can't get on sheets,